Welcome everybody. This is the GCLS Book Club for members only. And today we're going to be talking to Jay. And by the way, my name is Casey Luck, so I'll be hosting today. We're going to be talking about the book, Wrong Number, Right Woman. And of course, peppering her with other questions as we go, I'm sure, just for fun. We have a few housekeeping items, so I'm going to read those to you since I don't have them memorized. This meeting is being recorded, so if you show up on the screen, like Maria, you're being recorded. So if you miss parts, you can come back and watch it. I'll put it up on the GCLS webpage, probably sometime next week. Ideally, all of you guys are muted and you have your cameras off so that the host and Jay, the guest of honor, is people on the screen, primarily. If you have questions, you can type them in the chat, or you can pop in, I guess, and ask a question. Sorry about the background noise. I have 3 cats. Feel free to interact with Jay. One of our goals, obviously, for the GCLS Book Club is to let authors and readers come together and have a good time. So that's what we're shooting for here. All right. So I'm going to read your bio, Jay. All right. Jay is an author of 21 award-winning romances between women. She lives in the sunniest city in Germany, near the French and Swiss borders. The writing bug bit her at the age of 11. She used to work as a psychologist, but gave up her day job in 2013 to become a full-time writer and a part-time editor. As far as she's concerned, it's the best job in the world. When she's not writing, she's an avid reader, indulges in ice cream and stationary addictions, and watches way too many crime shows. I can relate to that.
Especially right now during the pandemic.
Yes, definitely. All right, so tell us a little bit about your book.
Hopefully most of you have read it already. Wrong Number, Right Woman is the story of Danny, most of all. She's a shy butch who works as a cashier in a job that she tolerates but doesn't exactly love. And she helps raise her younger sister, raise her niece. And yeah, leads a pretty simple life because she's shy. She's not in a relationship. She has trouble talking to women and getting to know women. Until one day she gets an accidental text from Eliza, who so far always thought that she is straight, until she becomes friends with Danny, and they both sense that kind of special connection between them.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a great book. I loved it. Obviously, lots of people loved it. The reviews, 500 reviews. So, I mean, over 500, so positive. How does that feel? I mean, that's
great. I mean, I hoped it would be well received because I call it my anti-corona novel, because it has a pretty low level of unnecessary drama.
right.
I mean, as writers, we often are taught that we need to put in a black moment, like at 75% or maybe 80%, there needs to be a huge drama, some kind of miscommunication and a big breakup, and the characters are heartbroken, and it looks like there will be no happy ending, like a big fight or something. And I didn't want to do that. I felt like these 2 characters, they are both mature enough to communicate through all of their fears and misunderstandings that there might be. And so I kept a low level of angst and a low level of drama for this one. And I chose everyday characters that everyone can relate to. And I thought, okay, if there was ever a time for a novel like this, where life is drama, and so we don't need that in the book in addition. So I thought it's a good time for a book like this.
Yeah, definitely a feel-good book. It's really was timely, and it's nice that it was refreshing to not have that drama. So yeah, cool. All right. I have a few questions for you from readers who sent them in ahead of time. And the first one, actually, Nancy and a couple other people wrote about pretty much the same thing, how people online can be bolder and more themselves than in real life, person to person. So how did you decide to go with texting? I mean, that's a cool vehicle.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. The idea for that initial meeting actually came from a real life story. I saw a tweet about a young woman who accidentally sent a photo of herself, I think it was in her prom dress, to a complete stranger because she had the wrong number. And I thought, oh, wow, if that had happened between two women, that could actually make a good premise for a romance novel. I think a lot of stories are created like that. Like, what if, like you hear about something or you see something and you think, oh, what if this then happened?
Right.
Yeah, so, and like you said, a lot of people, especially shy people like Danny, probably feel safer if they can hide behind their phones, so to say. And I could identify with that because I'm pretty shy too. And I'm a writer, so written communication is a lot more comfortable for me than speaking to people. And I thought, let's keep them texting for a while. And then he would not be the kind of person who immediately meets someone face to face, because she thinks that she's much funnier and she can actually make a better connection to people if she doesn't have to actually talk to them. And so they only meet up a few chapters in.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I totally agree. That was cool. So did you text somebody back and forth to figure out the flow, how it would flow?
No, not really. But I text with friends a lot, and some of the autocorrects that are in the book are actually based on things that happened either to me or to a friend. Because I mean, we've all been there.
Yes.
Autocorrect can get you into a lot of funny situations. Yeah.
That's for sure. That's for sure. All right, another one for you from a person that wrote it in. They ask about the yellow sneakers in the story, which were a fun little part, and amazing how they moved the story along. So, where did you come up with that idea?
I don't even know. I think if we writers are honest, a lot of the time we don't even know where our ideas are coming from. Yeah, I just thought it would fit Eliza because she is, in a lot of ways, the complete opposite of Danny. She feels comfortable in her skin and with her flaws, and she dresses the way that she likes, and she doesn't think so much about what would people say. So she's definitely the type that would pair a skirt and a pair of canary yellow sneakers, and not be afraid to stand out or have people look at her shoes.
Nice. That was a great part. I enjoyed that too. Not surprised people wrote in that one. All right, another one from someone who wrote in. There's several references to Denny's love handles and her self-consciousness about her size. Normally, lesbian romances protagonists are, of course, we all know, slender, young, long-haired, and attractive. How much courage did it take to create a stocky, middle-aged butch protagonist with cropped hair?
Great question. Not much courage, to be honest, because Wrong Number, Right Woman isn't the first book where I had characters that don't exactly look like the Hollywood standard of beauty. I have a lot of books where, like, for example, in Just for Show, Lana is more of a plus size woman, or Griffin in Second Nature. She's definitely a big woman too. Um, or I have written about women who have a disability in the roommate arrangement or in just physical. So to me, it's nothing really new. Um, so, like I feel, especially in romance novel and in lesbian romance novels, there are pretty much in 80% of the romances, we have a main character who is white, 20 or 30 something, slender, classically beautiful, doesn't have any health issues. Of course, she has a very glamorous job, makes good money. So like above average in everything. And that's just not real life. I mean, nothing against these romances. I read them too, and I've written them too. They can be fun. I've written celebrity romances about a character exactly like that. But I also think we need relatable characters. I personally believe that all women of all ages and sizes and body shapes can be beautiful, especially if we view them with love, you know. And everyone, no matter their age or body size, or if they have a disability, deserves their own happy ending and deserves love. And that's something that we need to reflect in our novels. And that was a very easy decision to have a character like that.
Yeah, we definitely need more characters like that. I think there's actually a shift, a little bit of a shift slowly.
Yeah, in the last few years there were more characters like that. I think it has some room for improvement, but it's happening. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, very cool. It was nice and refreshing. All right, so let's see if we have any questions from our participants. So we kind of touched on this a little bit, but where did you come up with the original idea? Where did it, come out of the universe? And
the idea for what exactly? For the book? I think that is
Lauren.
Lauren, yeah. Lauren,
Yeah.
can you clarify the idea for what exactly do you mean?
I mean, it's a different idea, and all around it, one thing I love is you always use down to earth characters, similar. We can relate to them, but all around the wrong number, the yellow sneakers, and you know, it's different. So I was wondering, where did it all come from? The crafting.
Um,
Well, the pants I know where did come from because women's clothes always have very small pockets.
oh yeah.
But then you
Yeah.
change that.
True. Like in general, I try to create characters that could be you or me, like ordinary characters, but with extraordinary hearts, and that are special, but not in a glamorous way, but in little ways. Like the yellow sneakers make Eliza stand out a little, or the way that Danny treats her family, and she works in a tough job that she doesn't love to help raise her niece, and she is a family person and unselfish, and that's what makes her such a great relatable character without her having to, like, she drives an 11-year-old car, and I think that's something that's to be admired. Oh yeah, I just thought of something. I recently got an interesting review on Audible that said that that gave it 1 star. And of course, the 1-star reviews that stick in your mind, especially.
Yeah.
It said that Wrong Number, Right Woman is not a fantasy romance. At first, I was like, of course, it's not a fantasy romance. It doesn't have like magic or. And as I continued reading, I understood what the reviewer meant. It's not a fantasy romance in that. Well, it's about a 41-year-old woman with love handles and extra padding on her belly, and she drives an 11-year-old car. And in her free time, she learns the fruit coat, and there's nothing especially exciting about her life. And I asked my Facebook group for readers, like, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? Obviously, for that reviewer, it was a bad thing, but the consensus in my group was that actually a good thing, because it makes her so relatable. And seeing a character like that still have a happy ending is what makes everyone hopeful that they will also have a chance at love. Yeah, so that's the philosophy behind not just Wrong Number, but pretty much all of my books.
Right. That leads actually really well into a question. Now we already touched on Yellow Sneakers, but the next question on the chat is, were you concerned that having no drama in yours, following the conventional girl meets girl, girl loses girl, blah, blah, right? You didn't have that in there. Were you concerned that it would not be received very well?
I try not to linger on that too much. I mean, of course, there's with every book, there's always, oh my God, will this be the one that disappoints everyone? But I think as writers, we need to realize that it's almost impossible to write a book that will be everyone's cup of tea. And that's the beauty of having so many books out there right now. There are so many that we can't possibly read them all. And we've never before been in that position. So I trust my readers to know what kind of book they will be getting if they're reading one of my books. Unless they are completely new to my books, they probably know my philosophy and what kind of characters I'm creating and what kind of story I'm telling. And if they want the big breakup drama, then probably they're not going to read more than one of my books anyway. And the readers who want the more mature characters and the more realistic characters, they will search out my books, especially because of that.
Yeah. That's perfect. Which, okay, does lead us nicely. These people are being really nice. They're putting these with segues almost. So what is your favorite book that you've written?
Yeah, I used to think that that was a really mean question, because I can never pick just one. But usually it's the one that I have written last, because I'm still closest to that one. But I think Wrong Number, Right Woman will continue to be at least one of my favorites, because I can identify with both of the characters in some ways. Yeah, and of course, the first book I ever published, Backwards to Oregon, is still very near and dear to my heart. Perfect Rhythm is another one of my favorites, and yeah, you already can see it's impossible to pick just one. It's if I can pick just three, then that's already an achievement.
Definitely. Okay, so someone wrote in, actually, we'll jump to that one since we're on that topic. What's your least favorite book that you've written?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I realized that that question is even harder. It feels like asking a parent which of your kids is your least favorite one. So it's even worse. But if you force me to pick one, I would say one where I today feel it was a little bit of a missed opportunity is probably Manhattan Moon. It's a novella in my Shapeshifter series, and it's about Shelby, who is a physician in a psychiatric ER. And she's also a shapeshifter. She can shift into a coyote. And I say theoretically because she has some kind of, it's almost like a disability. So she really struggles to take on her animal form. And that's unusual for her species and makes her into some kind of outsider who isn't fully accepted into her society. And in the story, she falls in love with a human nurse that she works with, and that's a big taboo in the shapeshifter society. And so there's a lot of interesting situations And again, unusual characters, but kind of in an everyday way. They are not perfect, and they don't have to be. But if I could go back, probably I would work some more on the story and turn it into novel length, because I think that I could have done more with it.
Yeah, that sounds awesome, actually. So, least favorite, but yeah, it sounds like a great story. I haven't read any of the Shapeshifter ones, so I'm looking forward to that. How many? This is my question, but how many books do you have? 21 award-winning books, which is fantastic. I mean, astronomical. How many books total have you written?
Novels, it's 21.
Okay.
And then I have a novella, and I stopped counting how many short stories and short story collections and anthologies and smaller works.
Amazing. And I read somewhere that you started in, well, you went full time 2013, but when was the first book? Was like 13 years ago or something?
I started out with L Book. Maybe some of you still are familiar with it. It was a US publisher who was one of the pioneers when ebooks started and then audiobooks. But the publisher died, I think, in 2012. So my first 5 books I published with L Book. The first one, Backwards to Oregon, came out at the very end of 2007. Oh, there's a cat. Oh, excuse me, I'm easily distracted by cats. So it's like Zoom meetings are not complete if there's no cat.
That's right. That's right. You have to have pets of some kind.
Yeah.
All right. So, well, we're all glad that you started writing, and Backwards to Oregon is a fantastic story. So, all right. We'll scroll down here. Nancy asks, I love the scene where Liza gets furious at Denny's being misgendered and called boyish. What did you intend with the interaction and Denny's response to it?
Oh, great question too. Well, to give you a little bit of a background, when I was growing up as a kid, as a teenager, even into my 20s, I had very short hair. So that scene was at least partly had a lot of experiences that I went through in it. And yeah, I feel like even nowadays, a lot of people still have certain gender roles, outdated gender roles, and expectations of what women and of course also men are supposed to act like, look like, dress like. And I mean, clothing and haircuts have no gender, and still people have this conception that short hair is boyish, and so it's complete nonsense. But yeah, so I think Eliza is the kind of person who would not just let that stand if someone is so dismissive and just comes with all these outdated perceptions. While Danny, on the other hand, like I said, she is more the shy type. She doesn't want to make a scene. And she, like most women, she grew up learning to judge her own worth by the way she looks. As a kid, she was teased in school because she was always a little bit overweight. And her parents didn't really know what to do with her because she wasn't feminine enough, in quotation marks, for them. And so they didn't really know what to do with her. And yeah, it's fascinating. As a former psychologist in my old job, I worked like 90% with men. And it was so mind-boggling to me to see the world through their eyes. They could be bald, have a beer belly, and a hairy chest. They would still think they are great because they are taught that their worth depends on their achievements and not on the way they look. And it's only us women who are taught, we are praised for, oh, honey, you look so nice. You look like a princess in that dress. Like we are praised for how nice we look. And that shapes our appreciation of ourselves and our self-worth as we grow up, even if we don't think about it. And yeah, Danny is like most of the women I know that are not really happy with certain aspects of how she looks. Like she has love handles or a little bit of extra padding on her belly, and she's not happy with her bust size or with how broad her hips are. And it's only when she meets Eliza, who stands up for her and for herself, and teaches her that women come in all kinds of shapes, and it's a good thing that there's this variety and this diversity, and that she starts to learn to become more accepting of who she is, and she doesn't need to fit any roles or expectations.
Yeah, perfect. So the follow-up, I'm just thinking about this with the ages of your characters. So the younger character is the one that gets riled up over that. And I think interacting with those millennials or younger characters, you were spot on, because that's how it would be, I think, in real life too. So that was good. And you just thought of that, you'd have the age difference.
Yeah, I thought that sometimes there's a little bit of a role reversal. I didn't want to have an age gap romance where it feels like the older character is like the more dominant one. I like, I mean, as you can probably tell, I like mixing it up a little, and have, for example, the Butch character. It's not just assumptions and expectations about what is a woman supposed to be like. It's also about what is a Butch woman supposed to be like. For example, in the book, there's this scene where her Danny works in a grocery store that is kind of based on Aldi. So they are kind of their own cleaning ladies, and they are their own mechanics sometimes. And her coworker assumes that, well, Danny is Butch, so she probably knows how to fix the electric pallet jack, which is, of course, not always the case. And Danny would be much more well suited to sewing the work uniforms than to fixing the pallet jack. She's better with sewing machines than with power tools. But still, she is confronted with expectations, just based on the way she looks too.
Yeah, fantastic. That's fantastic. All right, let's head over here again. Always the question, is there going to be a sequel? And
There
will
already is.
Heather will find love.
Okay. There already is a mini sequel. There's a short story called Lucky Yellow Shoes, based on Eliza's sneakers. You can find it in an anthology that I think 7 other Ilva authors, Chris Sett is in the audience, and then Lee Winter has a story in it, Fiona Cidi, Shea and Blue, Ale Brooks, Lola Keeley. So we put together an anthology, and because last year was such a tough year for most of our readers, we decided to give it away for free. It's called Climbsis. If you go on my website and click on the menu bar, I think free books, you can find it. And that one is a short sequel that takes place around 6 months after the end of Wrong Number, Right Woman. So that is a mini sequel. And the book I'm working on right now, Chemistry Lessons, is some kind of spin-off. It has different main characters, but Danny and Eliza make an appearance. Mm-hmm. And I haven't yet decided whether or not I will give Heather a book of her own. I think I would like to do it, but I'm very aware that there's a discussion going on in the trans community. Should an author who is not trans write a book about a trans main character, or is it not their story to tell? And opinions differ on that one. So if I do it, I will of course have sensitivity readers who are trans women, but I'll have to really discuss this first and hear more opinions before I decide, because I want to be respectful of the trans community and not encroach on what they might not want a story from an author who is not trans.
Right. All right. Yeah, I can see that. All right, let's see what else is over here. Oh, this is a good one. How about Portland? How did you get Portland so right? And have you been there? And I'm from Portland, so let's hear this answer.
I was about to say, so hopefully I did get everything right. I've only visited Portland once for my first GCLS conference in 2014, I think. And I immediately loved the city, maybe because it's so European, at least it feels that way. It's a great city. Yeah, I would love to go back. When I was writing Wrong Number, Right Woman, I was like, oh, why is there a pandemic? I want to just fly over and do the research in person, but no, doesn't look as if it will happen this year.
Right.
Yeah, but I had 3 beta readers who live in Portland or in the Portland area. I always, for each of my book, try to get beta readers who are either living there, or if the characters have a job that I'm not familiar with, I look for beta readers who have that job, or if they have a special background, because it's important to get a little details right. And
yes.
Yeah, other than that, I read a lot, and I visited all the places online and do as much research as I possibly can.
Yeah, really well researched, and you were right on. So I actually live right downtown. So All right, another one. Okay, with the description, I both want to read it, and I'm sorry it's not longer. Oh, this must be about your
Manhattan
short
Moon,
story.
yeah.
I agree. I'm going to be finding that. Another one. I love the Glimpses short story. Okay. Do you have other short stories planned with this book specifically, or just any of your other books as well?
Oh yeah, a lot. I have if characters fascinate me, then I want to know what happens after the end of the book. So I will always, usually for pretty much all of my novels, have at least one short story. And I have a whole notebook full of ideas for novels, for short stories, so it's more finding the time to get around to them all. And I have the thing that if I'm trying to write a short story, usually it ends up turning into a novel.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. I hear you. Okay, here's another one. I think your psychology background gives you a unique perspective into human behavior, thus your unique and authentic characters. Such a great point on, okay, so that wasn't truly a question, that was a compliment. And such a great point as to how women are socialized. Okay, let's see. And someone posted a link to your anthology in the chat.
Thank you, Maria.
Yes, that was awesome. Good job, Maria. Okay, so other questions from the gallery that you didn't put in there yet, or and make sure you put it to everyone, or otherwise.
I think we skipped one, or I skipped one. There was a question about favorite book of mine that I didn't write exactly.
Oh, did I not read the whole thing? Okay.
That one is also difficult. I like A.J. Noyes books, Ask Tell, for example. And like many of you probably, and Playing the Role of Herself by K.E. Lane. Galveston 1900 by Linda Christ. Yeah, so if I'm asked for a favorite book, I always name 3 because one is too difficult.
Nice. Gotcha. It sounds like you read pretty diverse.
Yeah, I mean, I write pretty diverse, and within the romance is my favorite, but within romance, I like everything. Doesn't matter if it's paranormal or historical or contemporary.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so there's another question. How did you make the switch from working in psychology to being a full-time author?
Carefully. It's a pretty big leap of faith. I didn't grow up thinking it would be possible or realistic to make a living as a writer. Very few people are able to do that, and especially in a small market like ours, the number of novels that you can sell is limited because the audience is limited. So I always thought it's a hobby, it's a passion. As my backlist continued to grow, and it looked like, yeah, I mean, I won't have like a big mansion and a pool, but that's not my life goal anyway. So I planned it out carefully. If anyone is thinking of doing that, like you need a financial buffer, because there will be months where you have a new book out and you're earning money, and then you won't have a book out because it's a pandemic and you struggle to write, and then your short story turns into a novel, and you don't have a book immediately, so there's less money coming in. So yeah, it's definitely more of a step-by-step thing than like you wake up one morning and decide, okay, I'm going to quit my job and tomorrow I will work as a writer. It's not how it works.
Right. Right. All right. Let's see what else we have here. We have an apology for arriving late. Okay, I understand technologies. Actually, I have one here. Looks like I missed. So it's from another person writing in. It's about the novel. Why did you choose third person omniscient POV?
Actually, I didn't. It's not an omniscient point of view. It's third person. Maybe for those of you who are not familiar with omniscient, omniscient point of view is actually a point of view where you have, let's call it a godlike narrator. So the narrator can know everything, even things that the characters aren't aware of, and the narrator can know what all of the characters are thinking and feeling and can tell us about it. I feel that omniscient point of view is a pretty distant and distancing point of view, because you always have the narrator who inserts themselves between the character and the reader. You never experience the characters directly. It's always filtered through the narrator. All of the classics use omniscient point of view, or most of them. But in a modern romance, I think omniscient is not such a great choice. The point of view that I'm writing in is called third person limited. So the characters are really the narrators. They tell their own story, and it's called a limited point of view because you shouldn't jump from one point of view to another within the same scene. So it's limited, the point of view is limited to one character per scene, or some authors even do one point of view per chapter. So Wrong Number, Right Woman, for example, starts in Danny's point of view for the first couple scenes, and then we switch to Eliza. And I do it that way in all of my romance novels, that the only two point of views you're getting is the two main characters, and I switch between them because I think it's important that readers get to know and get to spend time with them for both main characters and not just one.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's, I think, what people are used to when they read romance novels.
Yeah.
All right, I need a few more questions. Otherwise, I'm jumping back to some on here. And we've actually asked almost all of them. So please chime in. We have, it looks like we have like 20 minutes, and I don't want to not take advantage of Jay while she is here. So I'll just start asking the questions, and that could be dangerous. All right, Lauren, Maria, I know you guys always have questions. And Michelle's on there. Oh, can someone ask this? Yes, ask away, please. What is next? Is that the question?
Okay.
Can I ask what is next? Okay.
Yeah. I think Anne and two people actually are asking what's next. Okay. I actually just started a new book a few days ago. It's called Chemistry Lessons or Chemistry Lessons, depending on where you're from. It's the first true Friends to Lovers novel that I have ever written. And maybe I should explain that trope a little more because there's a lot of misunderstandings. To me, a true Friends to Lovers novel is a novel where the characters already know each other and are friends when the book starts. If they are strangers when they meet, like in Wrong Number, Right Woman, and then they become friends and then they fall in love, to me, that's a slow burn romance. So Wrong Number is a slow burn romance, and the book I'm writing right now is a Best Friends to Lovers. And it's set in Portland too, because there's a little bit of a crossover with Wrong Number, Right Woman. The characters are friends with each other. One of the two main characters is a chemistry teacher at a local high school. And the other is, I think you Americans call it lunch lady. So she works in the school cafeteria.
Right.
So as you can see, like everyday people again, with normal jobs or even jobs where you actually only make minimum wage. Yeah, and it's challenging. It's completely different to take two people who have basically grown up with each other and who have been friends for decades, and to take them from this supportive, comfortable relationship to generating some heat between them. And I'm really looking forward to that challenge. Yeah.
Well, we all look forward to reading it. So awesome. All right, let me scroll back up. People are jumping on here. This is great. What is your typical writing day? Looks like the next one.
I have like two hats. I'm a writer and I'm also an editor. And I figured out that I always thought I'm more of a night owl and it's better to write at night. But it turned out that was just because I used to have a day job and I was forced to write at night because that was the only time I actually could write. And when I switched to writing full time, I figured out it's better if I do my writing first, when my brain is still fresh and the day is young. And so I try to get my writing in first thing. I'm a pretty slow writer. Everyone always thinks I must be so super fast because I have 21 novels out, but I'm actually very slow. If I hear some of my fellow authors who can write 1,000 or even more words and in an hour, oh my God, I wish I could do that. So I'm really slow, so it takes me pretty much all day to get 2,000 words. And once I've wrapped up my writing for the day, I leave myself some notes, so I know how to continue, and I usually plot the major scenes before I start writing. And then if there's any day left over, I do my editor duties and social media, marketing, admin stuff, updating my website, and all these things have to wait until the afternoon and the evening.
Gotcha. Great question. All right. And then we asked what is next. Okay. And back to how to convey the texting. So, yeah, that is a good question.
Yeah. That was kind of something I struggled with a little bit because if you don't have people actually meeting, interacting, and talking, it was like, is this going to be too exhausting to read or too boring to read? I didn't want to set off the texts with quotation marks, because that obviously means they are talking on the phone or they are talking in person. So I ended up following the ILBA publishing style, which is to put any written material like emails or written notes or texts, to set it off with italics. Which then made it a little hard to convey thoughts, because a direct thought is also italicized. So yeah, I had to do a lot of editing and revisions, so not to confuse people. Like, oh wait, I thought she was typing that. It's just a thought. So I had to, the first few chapters, I had to really make sure not to confuse readers.
Well, thank you for not using all caps.
That would be too hard to read.
All right, let's see here. This person is actually talking about the reading challenge. Just wanted to say I'm really enjoying the reading challenge. How much time do you spend on marketing initiatives versus writing?
Too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun, you know, like I don't even really think of it as marketing. Like reading challenges, like 2018 I did the lesbian book bingo, and then last year I did the crossword puzzles, and this year I'm doing the sapphic reading challenge. And I don't know, my brain just works that way. If I have an idea, it could be an idea for a story or an idea for something fun, an event, or involving readers more, then usually I just go for it. So yeah, it is a lot of time. I think I spent like around 300 hours on last year's challenge. Could be wrong, but not less than that either. I think it's even a little more, but it's a lot of time.
Yeah, marketing. Yes, but the reading challenge looks super popular, and I'm enjoying it too. So, all right. Awesome, great. This is perfect. Another one about the reading challenge, how you came up with the idea specifically.
Yeah, it's basically based on the first reading challenge I did on the lesbian book bingo. But I didn't want to just repeat another bingo. I wanted something different. And I know that, for example, in my Facebook group, I always get questions like, oh, can you recommend a certain type of book, like an enemies to lovers romance, or can anyone recommend a romance about a teacher? And so I took some of the popular tropes that I know that readers really enjoy, and also some of the more rare categories that it's really hard to find good books. And I put those into a unicorn challenge. And anyone can pick what kind of badge they want, because I know there are readers who don't have a lot of time to read. And then there are readers who read like 300 books a year. So it's very flexible, so that anyone can participate and just pick their reading goal.
So I have a question for me. What's your favorite trope to write?
I used to think I don't have one, but then I realized I have written a lot of fake relationship romances by accident. Backwards to Oregon is basically a fake relationship or marriage of convenience. Something in the Wine, my first contemporary romance, is one. Just for Show is one. And the Roommate Arrangement also has a fake relationship theme. So that makes 4. So I think that's might be one of my favorites.
By default.
Yeah. And but I think even more than that, I like opposites attract stories, because I think if you create 2 characters who are not too similar, and sometimes who might even be the opposite of each other, they can learn so much from each other, and they can help each other overcome a lot of things that they have been struggling with, that they are more, they can live their lives more happily by learning from each other.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's see here. Are you reading these along with me?
Yeah.
personal question. Your roommate, that's what I'm reading. Your roommate makes you some amazing snacks. Is he a chef?
She's not a chef. She just knows what kind of food I like. And she knows I get really hangry if I forget to eat. So it's in her own best interest to put food in front of me. Yeah, no, she's really great. Yeah, if I'm focused on my writing, I will be like, oh, I'm gonna finish this scene, and then I will go make something to eat, and then that turns maybe into the next scene. And by the time I come back to reality, I will be so hangry that I need food now. So yeah, and I'm not the greatest cook, so yeah, that's how we divide the duties. Yeah.
That's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Angry. I love it. Lauren's a chemist. So let's see here. I'm so looking forward to that one about the chemist. I am a chemist, so I'm excited about it. There aren't usually chemists in Lesvik, so thank you. Yes,
Yeah, Lauren is already on my list of people to ask if I have a chemistry question.
Yeah, how do you come up with some of the jobs?
Sometimes it's just something that fits well. For Danny in Wrong Number, Right Woman, I knew I wanted to have a job that is like an everyday job. And I wanted one where I don't have to do so much research, because the book before that, for the roommate arrangement, I spent months, really months, on because one of the characters is a stand-up comedian. Right. And we all think we know everything we need to know about stand-up comedians because we see them do their job. But no, we don't. So I really spent a couple months researching what's the comedy business like, and how do they get paid, and what about women in comedy, and how do you write comedy? And because I had to write some scenes where we actually see her on stage, and I discovered, wow, writing comedy is really hard. So for Wrong Number, I wanted something that I'm more familiar with. And I have, my mother works in a grocery store, so I grew up with that. And my oldest niece and my nephew work in a grocery store, so that's something where I knew, okay, that's relatable, and I don't have to spend the next half year doing research. So that's how I decided on that job. As for the chemistry teacher, well, the book resolves around that these two characters who are best friends, they are always getting nudged by their friends. Oh, you would be so perfect for each other. You should date each other. And they insist that there's no chemistry between them. So they set out to prove to their friends there's no chemistry. And so making one of them a chemistry teacher was the obvious choice, at least to my brain. Yeah.
So I can't wait. That's going to be great. Let's see, scrolling down here. All the texting before they finally meet reminded me of the classic 1984 Charing Cross Road. I'm not familiar with that.
Me neither.
Texting in 1984? Were we texting in 1984? If someone wants to clarify that, go ahead and type it on here and I'll get down to it. Next one, from where do you prefer we purchase your books to assure you get paid the most?
Well, it depends. For the older books, it's great if you buy it from my publisher. The advantage of that is you get multiple formats for the same price. So if you ever switch e-readers, for example, you go from a Kobo reader to a Kindle or the other way around, and you will have access to both formats, the EPUB and the Mobi. For the newer books, for me personally, I don't speak for all authors, it's best to buy it from Amazon if you are a Kindle reader, because that gives a boost in the ranking, and that gets Amazon to promote the book and to make it more visible on Amazon. But mostly I'm happy if you buy my books, if you read my books, if you enjoy my books. So I leave the choice up to the readers.
Yeah, good question. Let's see here. Just a comment. I really appreciate how you bring in readers and also, I've lost my mouse, also uplift other writers' work through your challenges. It's a thing I love and the writing about the writing community. There truly, I can't read apparently. There truly is community and camaraderie between writers in most cases. What do you think? True or false?
True, and thank you, Maria, for saying that.
Yes.
Yeah, I once had a question from, I think it was a reader, like, why do you always promote your competitions work? And that word competition, that puzzled me, because I'm like, we are not selling cars, you know, where someone buys one car and then they are done for the next 10 years. So many readers who are participating in the Sapphic Reading Challenge. I had a poll on my in my reader group, and I asked them, which batch are you going for? Meaning, how many books do you intend to read this year? And I was amazed, because most people are aiming for 100 books, I think, or even more than that. And that's way more books than I can write, and maybe more books than even my publisher can publish in a year. So to me, it makes sense to support each other. And of course, not everyone sees it that way, but I think most people do. I believe in good karma and in helping out each other, and especially new authors, you know, or authors who might not get so much recognition, but who really work hard on their craft and who deserve some help. And if I know someone needs that help, I try to reach out and to do it.
Yeah, you do a great job, and it's appreciated by all of us. Okay, scrolling down. Thank you for the challenge, by the way. I joined Facebook especially. I joined Facebook especially. I guess due to the challenge. Suddenly I'm seeing all these people with similar interests. It's really nice, so thank you. That makes sense. Yeah, your group, your group, and there's a lot of synergy, people coming together, so it's really awesome. But it does take work for you, I'm sure. For those of us who are late, Jay, please post your website here in chat. Yes, that would be fantastic. Looks like
Maria already
did that. Maria's on it. Of course she is. She's fantastic. Okay, here's a clarification about the 84 Charing Cross Road is a fictional address. All right, so I was thinking it was a year. That's where we got sideways. A bookstore in London, a writer in Brooklyn, and a rare bookseller in London fall in love via their letters just post World War II. Great book, basically their letters. Okay. It was, and there's the link. It was even made into a film starring Anne Bancroft and Anthony Hopkins. So very cool. Yes. Did you think about that at all? You know, that people write love letters back and forth? And
not really. I think texting and writing letters, I mean, there are some things they have in common, but texting is much faster. It's closer to an actual conversation where you don't have to wait for 2 weeks for a letter to come back. So you can develop a more natural rhythm of conversation.
Yes, and more relatable right now.
Yeah,
because we're all separated. Okay. Anne says, thank you so much, Jay. Must be time. I'm having too much fun. The hour is up. Thank you to everyone. Thank you, Jay, and thank you, Casey, for hosting. Oh, my pleasure. I've had a great time. We have 1 more minute. Yikes. Okay. I guess we're wrapping up. Is there anything? Well, you've already told us about what you're doing next. And let's see, what are my closing comments here? Where can we find your books? You've already done that too, sounds like. And then I'm actually supposed to mention the next book club. So is there anything else, any parting comments that you want to impart on us?
Thank you everyone for spending some of your weekend with me. I always have to remind myself it's the weekend. Yeah, and thank you for reading my books. And a lot of you have been following me since pretty much the beginning of my career. And yeah, just saying thank you.
Yes, well, thank you very much. This has been great. Okay, we'll be back next month on a Saturday again with the book club with Ray Magden and her book Lucky 7. You can register for the book club by going through our website under the events section. I do have that set up, so you should be able to go and register through the Zoom. And there will be, we're plugging the Facebook page for the book clubs. If you don't know that, GCLS Members Only Book Club has a Facebook page where I post information about what's coming up. You might have seen I did some of the teasers from Jay's book, so you want to sign up for that. Okay, thank you everybody. I'm gonna log us off here and have a great rest of your weekend.